My dog chewed up my neighbor's drone after he was flying it low in my backyard. Now he's suing me, so I'm going to sue him even harder. Earlier today my neighbor came pounding on my door screaming obscenities and shouting at me. When I finally got him to stop yelling and explain what the issue was, I found out that he was flying his drone in my backyard again, but this time my dog finally managed to catch it and destroy it. He claims this was a $900 drone and he demanded that I had to pay him right then and there. I refused and closed the door in his face. A couple hours later the police showed up to ask questions about the situation and to retrieve the drone, as it was still in my backyard. The neighbor called the police stating that I refused him access to my yard to retrieve his drone, but that's not true because he never even asked me to begin with. I'm worried the neighbor will try to press charges against me for destruction of property or sue me. Will he have any legal standing if this does go to court? He has a history of flying his drone low over my yard to tease my dog, and I have asked him to stop several times, which he always refuses, telling me that I don't own the air above my yard. I have called the police to complain once before when he was doing flybys over my dog and getting very close to hitting him. The police didn't say he couldn't fly it in my yard, but they did ask him to stop doing so in order to avoid conflict. For some reason though that only seemed to egg him on. Update. Nearly a week later I was served a summons by a sheriff's deputy, as my neighbor decided to take me to small claims court over his drone. My mother-in-law is a paralegal secretary, so I was able to get a free consultation with a lawyer where she works to ask some questions about what to bring and how to prepare. He seemed genuinely amused that my neighbor was even trying to sue. He also suggested I countersue and advised me on how I could possibly add in more damages to my case. He also told me that my neighbor and I technically live within 5 miles of an airport, and even though it doesn't have a traffic control tower, it technically still falls under FAA regulations, meaning that his flybys may not have been legal to begin with. I called the FAA hotline from Google and spoke to them about my neighbor's hobby of flying out of line of sight, flying several thousand feet in the air, flying near an airport, and made an inquiry into if he was registered to fly drones, saying he owned 2 very large drones. I don't know the weight of his drones, but they definitely are at least a few pounds. They took my information and have called me back once, so I know they're investigating the issue, but I don't know anything else. I brought both police reports to court, as well as several photos of my backyard, photos of our shared 8-foot-high privacy fence, medical bills for my dog, and a few short videos I had of him doing flybys over my dog in the past. His main argument to the judge was that I maliciously installed a table to allow my dog to jump high enough to catch his drone, which I somehow trained him to do. Which, yes, I had recently bought a new picnic table, but only so I have somewhere to sit and eat outside. I argued that his flying was causing my dog anxiety and that's what provoked it, and that if my dog ingested parts of the drone or if it had hit him, it could have been fatal for my dog. In the end, my neighbor now has to pay me just under $2,000 for various vet bills like x-rays, dental exams, sedation, medication and so on. My neighbor is also banned from flying over my property, and I installed trail cameras in the front and backyards of my house just in case. He seems pretty upset with me, so I wanted to be careful. The only thing that could make this better is if the FAA finds a reason to fine him or